Luigi as Mangione, as they say, or Luigi Mangione. Um, but essentially, the fact that Luigi wore a sweater and it sold out on Nordstrom, which I find so fascinating because, in contrast with the Walmart Birkin, it's very interesting to see that we consume so in such a crazy way in this modern age, in this social media age, that someone wears a sweater and it literally sells out. It literally sells out. Like, that is absolutely insane. Now, for people that don't know who Luigi is, um, Luigi is, let's say, under investigation because, I mean, Luigi has not been convicted, but essentially for the murder of the CEO of a health insurance company. Now, of course, it has divided people because obviously some people are essentially saying that these health insurance companies are really immoral and they've led to the death of multiple people. So, one person being murdered is not as bad as the lives that have been lost, like thousands of lives, which there's not a moral argument that I agree or disagree with. I'm kind of just neutral about the whole thing, but it'll be good to kind of follow the case and see if he does actually get convicted and if they find all the evidence they're looking for to convict him of the crime, right, and of the murder of this person. However, I do think that I've always thought to myself the business model of a health insurance company is insane because any insurance company, as you guys know, their whole thing is to try and seek every loophole and every reason not to pay you out when you try to claim insurance, right? And in the context of health, it's so wild that the business model of a company is literally like someone's literally on their deathbed and they try to claim health insurance, and then because that's part of the business model, they're like, well, in the fine print it says this, that, this, so we can't actually pay you out, so I guess you're just going to have to die even though you've been paying your health insurance for 20 years. Or someone's just, they're like, well, according to the terms we've seen that you this, that, this. It's just, to me, one of the craziest business models that exists on this planet. It's so wild. Like, the business model of how I couldn't, if I was in that industry, I couldn't sleep at night. My conscience would be like down to the pits of hell. I literally could not sleep peacefully at night if I was in that industry. So that's kind of the moral conversation that people are having. Um, but essentially, that all leads into essentially Luigi had an appearance in court, and he was wearing this what looks to be a burgundy sort of sweater, and there was a lot of speculation around where this sweater is from because for people that haven't really followed Luigi as a concept, as a phenomenon, loads of people are obsessed with Luigi. People say that he's really attractive. People are obsessed with him. People are saying that he should be a model if he ends up not being convicted long term. He should be a model in fashion. He could really do that job and all that sort of stuff. So people are just obsessed. People have looked at every single corner of his life. They've looked at every second of his history. They've looked at everything that he's ever posted online, all the pictures. There's a crazy obsession. So then I think in a fashion space, especially, people are becoming really obsessed with Luigi. And I've seen a lot of people trying to force Luigi as a fashion person. Like, people see like the plainest jacket and they'll be like, see, I always knew Luigi was a fashionista. Luigi is wearing a Rick Owens jacket and it's not even a Rick Owens jacket. They're just reaching. And in the case of them continuing to reach, there was kind of, I tweeted about this, where people started to Photoshop the Margiela stitches onto his sweater to kind of say that it's a Margiela sweater, right? Because it's these fashion people, once again, trying to force Luigi into this fashion icon. And yeah, someone found his grail. This is true also. And they were like, oh my God, we knew Luigi was a fashionista. Like, look at his grail and look at the pieces that he was looking at. So there's kind of like this crazy obsession where people are just making stuff up. And it was quite interesting because I saw politicians kind of co-opting this and latching onto it, like people who aren't from fashion. And I feel like there's this agenda. This could be my conspiracy theory, but I definitely feel like the healthcare industry in the USA is so massive and so powerful and so influential that I can imagine that the people that are big in that industry want to discredit Luigi at any point because they want him to be convicted, right? So they co-opted this whole Margiela thing to say, as kind of like this idea that, you see, you guys think it's a poor versus the rich conversation. However, he's one of us. He's not one of you. Look at the price of his sweater. And they were really pushing this idea because of this person that made this whole Margiela thing. And they were really pushing it as an idea to kind of, discredit Luigi in a way and be like, this is not someone that you should be saying is, fighting for the people. He's not a man of the people. He's wearing the kind of sweater that the average person cannot afford, which is so funny because it ended up not being Margiela. Obviously, it's a Nordstrom sweater. So it's kind of funny how politicized they've almost made everything he wears now. And it's so funny because we always say that it's just clothes, but it's always more than clothes because now we're going into the realm of politics and we're going into sociology and these things, right? And what people are using. So it's just a very interesting phenomenon to see kind of how they are trying to use that against him, even though everyone already knows that Luigi is from a well-off background. Like the school that Luigi went to, he's been to some of the most elite schools in the US. So people already know that he's rich. But I think the interesting story about the whole Luigi case is that it shows that even when you're rich, there's some things that money can't buy. So even though, let's say someone like Luigi had all the money to pay for this health insurance, he still couldn't find any help for his spinal condition, right? For his back condition. So it shows that it doesn't really matter. Sometimes it's a case of just the system being bad. I think that's what this whole Luigi case represents for a lot of people. And yeah, Rachel saying, yeah, he did plead not guilty. So we'll have to follow the case. But I just thought it was a very interesting thing to cover that it's sold out in Nordstrom because it's just very much like the way people consume these days is wild. Like a sweater selling out a day after a court appearance is wild. That is just crazy to me. It's crazy. That's probably why many Americans can feel his pain, even though he came from money. The health insurance industry still fucked him. Yeah, exactly. That's what it actually represents, more so than anything else. And something I did find, this is kind of like a side note, this isn't even about fashion, but I still want to talk about it, that I found really kind of hilarious in a way, in a twisted way, is the story of the person who identified Luigi in a McDonald's. So for people that don't know, that's where he was eventually found and arrested, right? Someone in McDonald's, I think it was a McDonald's employee who called the authorities and was like, oh my God, Luigi is here, because they probably thought they were going to get the money reward for identifying Luigi and reporting him to the authorities. But when you actually read about it, the process to get that money is so complicated that I don't even think the person's going to get their money. And something that's even worse is that through the process of trying to get this money, they might have to be named publicly, which means people will have this person's public information, which is bad for this person, because I don't think that would bode well for the person that reported, because people really like Luigi, right? So they thought they were about to cash out, and it turns out first of all, they're going to get scammed by the FBI. Second of all, they're going to get scammed by the local police department. And thirdly, their information is going to be outed for everyone to see. That is crazy. That is so crazy to me, because someone was like, yeah, I'm about to get paid. And it's like, well, first of all, we're not going to do any payouts until confirmation of conviction, which Lord knows how long that's going to take. And then they were like, also, certain people have to verify the validity of this claim, which is up to our discretion. So it's when we really decide that we want to have this meeting, which we can decide it's in 10 years. So when I was actually reading about the actual process of getting this money, I was like, that's a shame. They really thought they were about to get paid out, and it turns out that they can just get scammed by the FBI, literally. They can literally get fucked by the FBI. And it's kind of hilarious, because the whole Luigi case is talking about really the healthcare system and how it exploits citizens in the USA. And then this person reports Luigi to the authorities trying to win this reward money, but then they get fucked by the system. That is literally poetic justice, if there was ever poetic justice. That is actually insane when you really think about it. When you actually think about it, that is wild. That is wild. One two said most of us in America called her lame us out. They said she got fired from McDonald's as well because she called the FBI around customers, which could have made a shootout. Oh, yeah, that is true. Kind of endangering your fellow co-workers by, the FBI coming all guns blazing and there might be a shootout and people die. That's true. The funniest part was the entire NYPD SWAT and corrupt mayor perp walking him as if they were the ones who caught him and inadvertently making him look like a martyr was hilarious. That is true too. That is very, very true. And while I don't condone murder of any sort, because I also do think that, yes, this whole case has opened up this whole understanding of, the healthcare system and actually talking about it as a thing and why it exploits people and all those things. I also do think that there's more that needs to be done to take down the healthcare system as it stands, right? Killing some CEO, I don't think moves the needle in any way other than kind of brings the conversation to the forefront. Because they're just going to hire a new CEO that's a puppet for the people at the top, and they're just going to tell this new CEO the same thing that they were telling the CEO that got murdered, right? So it doesn't actually change anything, which is why I don't really condone murder of any sort. But in terms of okay, now it's happened, what do we learn from this? It opens up the conversation. Yeah, exactly this, what I'm saying. Like, we are talking about it right now, exactly. So that's kind of what it does, I guess. But in terms of it changing anything, nothing is going to get changed. Because they're just going to insert another pawn and continue right from where they stopped. Literally, it's just going to be like work as usual, literally. The USA looks like such a crazy country to live in. I think every country has their issues. I think every country has, I'm from Nigeria, and when I was living in Nigeria, there was a terrorist group called Boko Haram, right? And some of my family members almost got blown up by a bomb by these terrorists. So I don't know. I think every country has crazy stuff that goes on. I don't think it's just like a USA thing. I've literally lived in a country where there were bombings happening very close to where I was living at the time. So no, I think it's not just an American thing, to be fair. You know what's wild? Anadelvi got treated worse than Luigi did by the press and social media and all. Do you think that that's pretty privilege, AZ? I'm very curious why you think that is. Because I guess part of the reason, other than people don't like the healthcare system and health insurance companies, so obviously most people are going to be on his side, but I think part of it is also that people just like the way Luigi looks. Everyone thinks he's hot, so therefore people give Luigi the kind of leeway that they wouldn't give an Anadelvi. Considering that what Anadelvi is accused of or did, because I won't say what Luigi did because he needs to go through the process, through the courts, but what he's accused of is way more heinous than Anna. Pretty privilege for sure. See also the city girl. Yeah, that would be my guess. That it's really just like pretty privilege for the most part, for sure. The fact that there is billions of dollars not accounted for at the Pentagon, but we struggle to get medications is wild. Yeah, I agree. The pretty privilege imparts a halo effect. Let's see. Orobot99 says, it's more white male privilege. I don't think pretty is a big part of it. Imagine it was a hot black man or woman, the situation would be completely different. Actually, I do agree with you. Because I feel like if it was a black man, I think because black men, especially in the US, are politicized as being criminals all the time. So I think people just naturally see a black man. It's like, he did it. And there's no grace given to that person. So actually, I do agree with you. I think it's a mixture of a lot of factors too. Complexion privilege. That's one way of putting it. Okay, AZ says, yeah, pretty privilege. She didn't come across as a sympathetic victim. She was easy to hate. Yeah, I'm with you on that one. I'm definitely with you. This YouTube channel runs on your support. If you want to support the channel, you can subscribe to my Patreon. You'll gain access to exclusive content that includes everything from my Patreon podcast, where I give a behind-the-scenes insight into the fashion industry, as well as a fashion book club, where I review my favorite fashion books. You can also check out my fashion ebook, which highlights the best fashion journalists to follow, definitions of common fashion terminology, and how to determine what a good source of fashion information is. The links to everything are in the description below.